Hello, I hope you're having a great Monday. If we haven't met, I'm Michelle Height. I am a wife, a mom of three, and a certified life coach. And I just absolutely love all things productivity and organization. And I'm really passionate about helping women get really intentional and productive in the things that matter most. It's really easy to get busy, and we're all busy. But we just want to make sure we're busy in the right things. And so thank you if you're jumping on and catching the replay. Today I just wanted to share a few things that I have to do to stay focused. So I confess, I am a squirrel chaser. If you've ever had a conversation with me, you probably have noticed this. So I'll be talking about one thing and my mind is always going, and there's always, I jump to another subject, or I sit down to concentrate and get something done. And I just keep thinking, oh, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that, and I need to make sure I remember. My mind is just always going, and I have trouble staying focused on the task at hand. So these are a few things that I do to really focus in and get something done. Otherwise, I would never finish anything. So specifically, like when I'm at work at school and I need to get a job done, my mind is just always going, and I just have to stop and get focused. And same thing at home when I'm working at home, or even just trying to do things around the house. Multitasking is great, but sometimes we don't need to multitask. Sometimes we actually need to focus in and do one thing. And so these three things help me to focus in and concentrate on one thing instead of multitasking. So those things are, one, keeping either just a sheet of paper close by, or for me, I try and keep my planner if I'm at home or at school. It's a spiral that I keep just sitting right there with a pen, so that if something pops into my mind, I can immediately write it down on my list and then let it go. So I can write it down, I know it'll be there for me to take care of later, and I can keep plowing along on what I'm focusing on. So one, keeping a piece of paper close, jotting down things as they pop into my mind so that I'm freed to keep moving on the other things I'm working on. Second thing I do a lot, and if you follow me at all, you've probably heard me say this, I've written a blog about it, but I use a timer. And as a teacher, I was always encouraging parents to use a timer with their kids for homework or reading at night, because it helps them just to focus in, know it's a short time. I've since been using a timer with my kids just around the house. It is amazing how much setting a timer helps you to dive in and get stuff done. So if I am reading something specific, I'll set a timer, like my personal development, I'll set a timer for 20 minutes and just go for it. And I know my time is limited, so I tend to dive in and get a lot more done. I do the same thing with writing, like if I'm writing a blog, or if I'm writing, I'm working on content for a new program right now, and so I'll set a timer and I'll just go for it. And for whatever reason, that timer makes me feel like my time is limited, and so I really do plow in and get a lot more done with a timer on. My third tip is removing distractions. And for me, number one is my children. So love those little distractions, but I have to be really intentional about planning what part of work I'm going to do in what time of the day. So my most productive time is first thing in the morning. So I typically get up, I have my Bible study and prayer time, I get my workout in, and then several days a week, I actually sit down at my computer, and that's when I'm writing most of my content, because I know typically I'm not going to be interrupted. I occasionally have early wakers, but I know that that's a time that's likely the phone's not going to ring at 5:45 or 6 in the morning, so I can really focus in and get productive. So removing distractions, so figuring out times that people aren't going to interrupt you. If you are at work or whatever, turning your phone either off or turning it on airplane mode, where just for a short time, you know that the texts aren't going to be dinging and the phone's not going to be going off and pulling you away from it. So just for a short time, turning that off and really diving in to do the one thing, not multitasking. And we're talking about when you really need to concentrate on something. Another thing that's helped tremendously for me, again, I'm a squirrel chaser. I tend to be distracted very easily. Another thing for me is closing tabs on my computer. That sounds like such a silly thing, but if I'm working away and I think, oh, I wonder, I need to check my inbox, and I'll click it, and then next thing I know, my mind is dealing with something totally different, or good old Facebook, right? If that tab's open on my computer at home and I'm trying to write something and I hear the ding, I'm so distracted. I have to go see what it is. So removing those distractions, closing down your tabs. So typically I'll close down to just what I'm writing, like if I'm working on content, just the document that I'm working on, so that there aren't all the extra dings. You know, putting your phone on airplane mode, like I mentioned, finding a really good time of day to dive in and get it done. So those 3 things are things that have helped me a lot. I am very easily distracted and tend to be an okay multitasker. It's something that I'm pretty good at, but there are times that we don't need to multitask. There are times that we just need to dive in and focus on one thing. So just want to encourage you with those things. I would love to hear if any of those help you, and if any of you are squirrel chasers where you're just so distracted by the things around you and what's going on and the thoughts in your mind. So I would love to hear from you. Bye.